Why are people leaving Florida? Over the past 4 years, the population of Florida has actually increased about 5% according to the US Census Bureau, which this equates to a little over 1 million people. But what many people have found, and very many people that have lived in Florida for decades, is that this new Florida is not what they're used to. It's not what they want, it's not where they want to be any longer, and they're starting to leave. Florida's population may still be growing, but there's lots of people saying goodbye. Now, I moved from the Midwest over 7 years ago, and in this short time, I've seen so many changes. Now, I still love living here in Florida, but I do understand, and I can see why people are asking themselves, is this where they want to be? And there are days that I ask myself, is this where I'd like to retire? And is this where I want to be? And the number one reason that I ask myself this, and so do so many others, is the traffic and the congestion. And this is not just during high season or during the winter months. I do remember when I moved to Sarasota in the month of January, and since I didn't know what to expect, I thought the traffic was pretty typical or very normal. Now, I could get almost anywhere in town in 10 or 15 minutes, and so it was convenient. And then something really amazing happened at the beginning of April. It was even easier to get everywhere. So I saw that the snowbirds had gone home for the season, and it was pretty easy to get around. Now here we are 7 years later, and that's no longer the case. First of all, instead of budgeting 10 or 15 minutes to get anywhere, I now think, oh, it's 15 minutes, it's 20 minutes, it's 25 minutes. And then I have to really consider the time of year, the time of day, how much traffic is out there. For instance, the other day I drove 15 miles and it took me an hour and 10 minutes. Now, keep in mind, that was between 4:30 and 5:30, so normally a very busy time. But it's so congested here anymore, and if you want to go out to the beaches and relax, well, you could be sitting in traffic for a very long time, and that really is cutting into relaxation time. Now, another reason that I've heard people complain about Florida and why they wanted to leave is that the Florida of today is not the Florida that we saw in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 1990s, where it was affordable. Now, those that are planning on retiring felt very secure in the past that they could take their nest egg and find themselves a great little home for winters or as a second home in Florida, and it was very easy to escape the cold and snow. But today, with our rising cost, which we will be addressing in just a moment, one thing we're finding today is that because it costs so much to move to Florida and our housing costs are so high, that I'm hearing people complain that we are becoming a little bit more affluent, and that the people moving to Florida have a little bit of an attitude and entitlement and making others feel less than welcome. Now, for those that have lived in Florida for decades, they're feeling a little pushed out and not respected. However, I find Florida friendly, and I have not directly experienced this. However, I can understand why people would feel this way. If you've lived someplace for 30 years and all of a sudden it's really changed, well, change can be hard. Now, Sarasota here itself definitely is on the higher end of cost of living, and that has changed greatly since I've moved here. We used to think of Florida as cities such as Miami, Naples, West Palm Beach, Boca, all those as being, a little bit more affluent and bougie parts of Florida. And now we're seeing that here in Sarasota. So definitely I can understand why people think that the cost to move to Florida has increased. But I'd like to hear from some of my Sarasotans. What do you think of Sarasota now compared to 20 years ago? And I just love to hear your feedback. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Lisa McBride with Sarasota Neighborhood Experts. My team and I help so many people buy, sell, and invest here. So just give me a call if I can answer any questions. All right, let's move on to the next reason so many people are leaving the area. Actually, I alluded to it earlier in the cost of living. Since our pandemic, the housing costs have nearly doubled in some areas, making housing costs just go through the roof. And it's not just the cost of purchasing a home that is truly outrageous anymore. It's the cost to own the home. First, if you are purchasing a resale home, the cost of insurance obviously that's a big thing here in Florida, and the cost to insure the home has doubled. And it continues to go up. Actually, here in Florida, the average homeowner pays about $6,000 a year for insurance. And if there are things in your home that are a little bit older, the insurance companies might force you to make improvements that you don't find necessary. For instance, replacing your roof, replacing your windows, garage door, electrical panel, and water heaters. These are all items that might be really costly to you just because your insurance company is telling you it might need to be done. And also, although we don't all need flood insurance, if you happen to have to use our state insurance company, Citizens, you will be paying flood insurance no matter what flood zone you're in. So there's a lot of cost with owning a home. And that's not just for existing homes. If you're buying a brand new home, well, not only are your taxes, your CDD, your HOA fees all higher now, that there's so much to maintain. So normally it doesn't matter if you're buying brand new construction or resale homes, the cost to own is definitely high. So if you're going to be living here permanently, remember, don't forget to homestead. Now, I'm not going to get into homestead in this video, but be sure to watch this video after this if you want to know more about that. Another reason people dislike Florida right now is finding reliable contractors and worrying about being scammed. So let's say your insurance company is telling you you need to replace your roof or your water heater and you're not sure who to call because you've been warned about getting good tradesmen and contractors in, and we never know who's showing up at our door. Florida has more fraudulent claims, more scam claims, more all this than any other state in the nation. And so I know for myself, I do greatly miss working with some professionals in the Midwest that I was used to. However, I do recommend always getting lots of recommendations, really vetting out who you may be contacting, and be prepared that it may take weeks or months to get a really reliable contractor in to do work for you. Now, another major concern that everybody has is healthcare. Overwhelmingly, my clients tell me that it is difficult to find doctors in Florida. And I'm sure it's because we have so many people moving in that with the influx of new residents, doctors have a hard time keeping up. I know myself, I did have a hard time finding my doctor. Now I love my doctor. I agree it took a little while, but she's not taking new patients. And so it is very hard. So it's all about establishing a relationship with doctors. All right, now we had to talk about this one, weather. Now we all know that Florida has mild winters and very hot summers, but the worst season definitely to me is the fall. And it is because summer extends into September, where other states are starting to really enjoy cooler evenings, they're starting to watch the leaves change. Here in Florida, it is still very hot in September, and we're always worried about hurricanes. We're worried about thunderstorms, flying debris. So a lot of people come here for the weather, and a lot of people leave here for the weather. The next item I want to talk about, and a lot of people don't bring this up or think about this, but that is a lot of people realize they miss their loved ones. If you've lived Northwest, Midwest, West Coast, anywhere, it doesn't matter. If you've left where you are familiar, you may leave behind people that you love. And that can be immediate family, or it can be friends, social life, all of that. And even though you might hate the winters and you think, I can't handle it anymore, there is something that pulls at our heartstrings about the people that we miss and the life that we miss. And I see people that are leaving aging parents or leaving grandchildren and really realize that this is just too much. They do not want to be that far away. They like their group of friends and family and knowing there's always someone there that has your back. And so I see this quite a bit, that people will leave due to family members. All right, one more item on our list. We talked about the cost of housing and what this impact has on our residents here in Florida, but also the cost of just goods, electrical bills, Whether it's your gas bill, your car insurance, food, everything seems to be higher. And we do know that prices have gone up everywhere. But with our high home prices and our high electric prices and everything else, it does feel like right now people are definitely getting priced out, especially those that are retiring here, trying to live on a great budget, and they really believe they were set. All of a sudden, it doesn't feel that comfortable anymore. So you really have to shop around and know what works best for you. So there are plenty of reasons why people are leaving Florida and just decided it's just not for them. If you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Put comments below and let me know. Are you thinking about moving to Florida, or are you thinking about possibly leaving Florida? Because we see that all day long. So I really appreciate you watching, and don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, all those things that I need you to do so that you keep seeing our videos. And so if I can be of any help, remember, just call. I really appreciate you watching, and until next time, take care.